Which leads to an important distinction for our understanding. Which is the actual meaning for the word go and the phrase go make disciples? Is it as you go, or is it go everywhere? I ask that because you may have heard some preachers or teachers use the phrase as you go, referring to the Great Commission where it says go and make disciples. They say the meaning of the Great Commission isn't to take the gospel to the ends of the earth, but to make disciples as we go about our everyday lives. As you go from one place to another, from the grocery store to the movie theater, to the restaurant, to the work, to your best friend's home. You strive to be a disciple maker from one place to another. Have you heard that? It's the idea that God's people are to engage in evangelism and discipleship wherever they are, regardless of whether they are missionaries, pastors, engineers, pilots, or janitors. Well, church, it's not that we should not be disciple makers seeking to influence people for the glory of God as we go about our daily lives. It's not that that's not true, but that's just part of it. My brothers and sisters, we should be making disciples as we go. But that's really not the meaning of this word here and this idea of going and making disciples. The Great Commission is so much more than just a lifestyle command. It's much more than as you go. The word go is a participle, which means it's a verb that functions as an adjective. And as we discussed in a previous sermon, that's what makes it, even though it's not an imperative verb, that's what makes it act like an imperative and enforce the command that follows from the main verb, make disciples. As a word that modifies and joins the force of the main verb to make disciples, and since all nation is the object that receives the force of that main verb, my brothers and sisters, and since go, again, enforces the command, the actual command is go discipleize all nations, if we can create a word. Go and discipleize. It's make disciples where? Everywhere. We need to see this commission ultimately as a summons to join God on his mission to redeem people from every single tribe and language and people and nation. I mean, that's what Revelation 5:9 is talking about. Celebrating the Lamb's right to open the scroll, they sang a new song saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain and have redeemed us to God by your blood out of every tribe and every tongue and people and nation." John's vision of that countless assembly of souls around the heavenly throne doesn't merely depict a racially diverse gathering comprised of different people from around our neighborhood. No. John is speaking of an ethnically inclusive gathering, one from which no people group on earth is missing. Listen, let me read in your hearing Revelation 7:9, because that's what's going on in Revelation 7:9. You're familiar with that verse where the 12,000 from each tribe are brought before the Lord. And then verse 9 says, "After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number. Listen, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed," it says, "in white robes." And it's a vision that Jesus demands his church to actualize by strategically relocating some from among her ranks to proclaim the gospel. The implication is clear. Some Christians must sin, some Christians must go. The making of disciples includes missionaries, going out from churches to other places and other countries. Mount Moriah, we're not totally there yet. But the meaning here encourages us to think beyond our community and see that the Lord wants to use his people to spread the gospel any and every